There are now only 7 northern white rhinos left on Earth, all in captivity. 4 of them were moved from a Czech zoo to Kenya in 2009 in hopes of breeding with the southern white rhinos to keep some of their genetics viable. There have not yet been any births. For me, standing next to these 4 just after their arrival in Kenya was a very powerful experience, knowing they were the last 4 that would ever exist. What if these were the last 4 elephants? Kenya is one of the last places left on Earth where elephants roam wild and free in natural rhythms. The Earth's richness is mirrored in the richness of the communities who have lived in harmony here for centuries. We focus our work in the Tsavo Conservation Area. Tsavo is 60,000 square kilometers of land that includes almost 23,000 kilometers of national parks and community-owned land that together has the largest elephant population in Kenya. It's a complete African ecosystem containing magnificent flora and fauna and wonderful topography. Tsavo, quite simply, is a world treasure. Kenya's only natural resource is its wildlife and wild areas. They can be protected and can survive the tide of rapid human population growth, but this will only occur if the people living there want it to happen. Kenyans living in the Tsavo area think of elephants as dangerous beasts, eating their crops and endangering their welfare. The people are not thriving, as they are often living on land that is marginal at best, with frequent severe drought, farming depleted soil, taking the few trees left for fuel, and resorting to killing wildlife for food or income. Amara Conservation works to change that situation, for the benefit of the wildlife and the people. While Tsavo holds the largest elephant population in Kenya, the number of elephants has dwindled from 45,000 in the late 1960s to about 11,500 in 2012. Amara works to educate people about how vital elephants are to their very existence. Once they learn that elephants are essential to their survival, they join in the effort to stop poaching. Elephants are the keystone species that allows Tsavo's entire ecosystem to sustain itself, and upon which many other organisms depend. Their eating and travel habits clear pathways and keep the grasslands and savannas intact. They dig water holes in dry riverbeds in drought so all animals may drink. They plant trees and bushes with their dung. Without elephants, Tsavo would change irreversibly. Elephants are fascinating animals. They live well into their 60s in a healthy environment. When young, they need to learn how to behave from their elders. They aren't weaned until over 2 years of age and become adults at the same age as humans do. They cover vast distances, eating up to 350 pounds of vegetation each day. It is the older elephants who know where to go for food and water, and they are the ones most targeted by poachers, as they have the largest tusks. Poaching for ivory is at an all-time high, and the price of ivory right now is over $1,000 a pound. There are 2 primary forms of poaching. One is for bushmeat using snares. The other is for elephant tusk and rhino horn, using poison arrows, spears, and more often guns. Elephant poaching statistics are hard to verify given that it is an illegal activity, but over 10% of the elephant populations are being poached per year right now. That is at least 38,000 a year and over 100 a day. The bushmeat trade involves people setting snares for antelope, but they often will end up taking a lion or even an elephant. A snare is like a landmine. It takes anything that touches it. It's not subsistence snaring. It's not a guy out feeding his family. That would be sustainable. The horrible part about this is it's commercial. It's greed. It's poachers out killing 30 to 40 animals a night. The bushmeat is sent to Nairobi, and often from there as far away as Europe. Current estimates are that over 500,000 animals are snared every year around Tsavo alone. What people need is information. There is no environmental education offered in Kenya's schools. Amara works with the people. We work to inform community members of the repercussions of poaching and destroying the environment, help them to understand the benefits of wildlife, and to support them in changing their lifestyles to benefit themselves, the wildlife, and the environment. People need to know that what they are doing is negatively affecting their lives, those of their communities, and their children's futures. Our primary means of doing this is through showing films about the environment. The films are brilliantly done and made for the purpose.
The elephants are the heartbeat and soul of the Tsavo National Park, Kenya's largest and most important elephant sanctuary.
Amara was the first in Kenya to develop a mobile system for showing films in rural areas, and seeing things really is believing. We show films in schools in the daytime and in villages at night. Before and after school films, we discuss what is in the films and other important information, using spoken word, chalkboards, flip charts, and more recently, computers and even PowerPoint presentations. We tailor what we do in each area to the needs of that area, as each place is different. Which films we show, what topics we cover in discussion, what resources we bring, all are geared towards the needs in each area. Being very involved in each community we work with is one of our critical strengths. One of the great outcomes of our education programs has been the decision by a community to form their own sanctuary in a critical elephant habitat area right on the border of Tsavo West. It's now a protected wildlife area for ecotourism. We've assisted them the entire way, negotiating with an ecotourism company to build the lodge and put in the capital to start the project, which brings income to all 3,000 shareholders while it protects the wildlife. It was a long road to setting up the Mbulia Conservancy, and we will continue to work closely with them. Several other groups of people have asked us to help them do similar projects in their areas. Community members are now kicking poachers out because they know it's wrong and they want to protect their wildlife. This shows that what we do works. One of our newer projects is teaching about tree planting. Kenya has a serious deforestation problem. Less than 2% of the land has trees, and 10% is considered the minimum for a healthy ecosystem. A single fully grown tree in a canopy sequesters 75 liters of water, for example. People don't know this. Teaching children to gather their own seeds of indigenous good trees, make their own seed beds out of what is existing there, rocks and twigs and stones, and plant the seeds, sprout them, grow seedlings, and then replant them where they need them to grow. Spending an afternoon teaching people to grow their own trees leaves them with new knowledge and a skill they can build upon. Radio Tsavo, our own community radio station, will be an important part of Amara's work as it will be able to reach all the people simultaneously.
You are listening to your favorite program, You and Wildlife, empowering you on wildlife issues. Karibuni!
We've been working to get it on the air for a few years. There are many obstacles to work through getting an entire radio station up and running, but we've made a lot of progress and are nearly ready. The goal of the station is to share knowledge about the environment, address local conservation needs, and most importantly, to open engaging dialogue connecting the residents with any authority that can be helpful to them and connecting them to one another. The station will be owned by Amara and operated in partnership with Wildlife Works and the Kenya Wildlife Service. Everyone listens to radio in rural Kenya, and we will have them with us on Radio Tsavo. We've fine-tuned our mobile film showing capabilities over the years. Amara shows environmental films at each and every place we go, schools, communities, barazas. It's the core of our work. Each of the Land Rovers is equipped to show films and also to take our staff everywhere it needs to go, whether holding meetings or training sessions, reaching children or adults, or taking the radio station out to broadcast. It all comes down to the mobile part of that phrase. We go to the people and work from the ground up. That is why we are so effective.
I believe in education. I've had years of experience from kindergarten through graduate school, and I have never seen education work the way it did with Amara. You went to a school, a guy asks, how many of you like elephants? And not a single hand goes up. Then he says, how many of you don't like elephants? And every hand of the 200 and some odd children goes up. They're afraid of them. They're big, they're scary, they're going to trample their crops. Then we show the film. And afterward, there's some talk about the meaning of education, wildlife education, why it matters to have tourists come, where the tourist dollars go. And then the same question comes back. How many of you like elephants? all hands, every hand in the place. They like elephants. And then we pack up and go. And we go to a nearby village, and the same thing goes on. These people then are understanding, and Amara is doing the most important work you can imagine. There is no other way to combat this. You have to understand that as soon as these kids get it, they're going to go home. And they are going to say to their mother or their father, we can't do that anymore. We won't have a country left.
Amara is really well received by the communities. They know us now in most of the places that we go well enough to know that all we do is bring information, to help people learn to see things in a new way. Education is really the only thing that will work to protect our wildlife. You can't legislate it, you can't do it from the top down and shake your finger at somebody and threaten jail. The only way to actually change things is when people know that they want to make those changes personally for solid, good reasons. Elephants and rhinos are on the verge of extinction. That's serious. But it's also about every other animal and the people. Our work is about saving an entire ecosystem. Amara is about helping people learn to see things in a new way and find solutions that work for them.